Hello everyone and welcome back to the Minecraft Myth-Busting World, the place where we have discovered all sorts of interesting and fascinating things about this game. And the last episode was the 100th. We did a special and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to follow it up with yet another special. For the 101st episode of Myth-Busting, we're going to recap some of the best things that we've discovered in this world. And so we're going to do a top 10, the favourite things that I've learned while we've been making our episodes of Myth-Busting. So we start off by going back in time a long way. We're talking about years ago that we did this episode on potion myths, and it was inspired by a lot of discussion in the community about how to throw splash potions. I don't know if people still discuss this today, but some people say throwing it at your feet is the best way. Some people will say throwing it at a wall. And the idea here is when you throw a splash potion, you'll only get a percentage of the total amount, which is 22 seconds. Now, as we discovered in that episode, just by doing some testing, it's based on hitting the player's hitbox. And thanks to the changes that have been added in this game, we can do this, and you can actually see the hitbox of me, the player, and this sheep over here. Now, if we look at the ground like this and throw a regeneration potion, there you go, it hit us, and we've only got a few seconds of its effect. Of course, this one has 22 seconds, so if I tilt the angle, so we throw it slightly closer to us, you can see that time we got about 5 seconds. Let's come a little bit closer, and that time we got 6. Can you see what's going on right here? The closer it is to your hitbox, the more of the effect you're going to get. So that time we got 12 seconds, and this means if it hits your hitbox directly, you're going to get the full effect. So the best way to throw a splash potion to hit you and get the effect is to hit your hitbox. So let's throw it up there, let's press C, and when it lands on me, is that a bug? It didn't update? I think that's a bug. Let's do that again then. And you can see there we go, 22. We get the full effect because it is, of course, landed on our hitbox. Speaking of splash potions, we also have the potion of leaping. Of course, this thing allows you to jump a little higher than usual, which is cool, but you know me, it sparked my curiosity and I decided to do an episode where we tested all the different mobs in this game to find out which ones would be affected by the potion of leaping. And as you can see here, a pretty hilarious sight is creepers jumping up into the sky. I tell you what, if this doesn't make you chuckle in Minecraft, I don't know what will. Flying creepers, absolutely amazing. But anyway, there were two mobs in this game that we actually expected to be affected by this, and they were the two that weren't. Let's spawn in some slimes, let's spawn in a lot of them. These guys do a lot of jumping as it is, and you can see here they're clearly not affected by the leaping potion, otherwise they'd be going way up into the sky. And this is the same for magma slimes as well. So the slimes and the magma cubes, the two mobs that actually jump, aren't affected by the potion of leaping. Fascinating stuff. Number 3 on our list has got to be one of the most useful discoveries we have made in this series, and that is that crops that grow in rows like this will grow twice as fast. And whenever I mention this, there's always someone who thinks they're clever saying, well, if you're planting your crops in rows, then you're planting half the amount. And you're sort of true, but the cool thing about this is it depends on what type of crop it is, which means you can actually plant your rows of wheat next to your rows of carrot or whatever crop it is. So if you happen to have a field of carrots next to a field of wheat, what you want to do is rip those up and alternate them in rows like this, and then they grow twice as fast, which is extremely cool. Anyway, if you'd like to know the specifics of that one, go check out episode 43. This next one we did fairly recently, and the reason that I've included it on my list is because I like the message behind it, which is not to make assumptions. Now, when path blocks were added to the game and I started building with them on Hermitcraft, I got tons of comments about passive mobs being able to spawn on these path blocks, and I believe that this was an assumption. Now, it's easy to understand where this comes from because passive mobs can spawn on grass blocks and you make your path blocks out of grass blocks. But the thing you can see here is that there is a difference in height between the two blocks, and blocks that aren't full blocks, usually mobs won't be able to spawn on them. So I assumed that they wouldn't, but of course then we went ahead and did a test and confirmed this as well. If we look around right now, there is nothing spawning on these path blocks. So then what we do is we create a big patch of grass and we wait for things to spawn on them. And so after patiently waiting, we have an army of slimes and we got some passive animals as well, showing you that both passive animals and hostile mobs as well aren't able to spawn on the path block. So now we visit the Nether for its abundance of lava, and we've all encountered this stuff at one time or another, And if you've been set on fire, it's probably not been a good experience. But if you have a curious mind like I do, you've probably asked yourself, how long am I going to stay on fire for? Now, I brought a fire resistance potion with me because I've got no armor on and I don't want to take any damage here. But we will still get set on fire. So I'm going to jump into the lava here. We get set on fire, and then when we get out of the lava, you can see that we're still on fire. And what we did in an episode of Mythbusting is actually figure out exactly how this works. And it's really quite simple. It's 15 seconds plus the amount of time that you spend in the lava. So let's jump back in. Let's say that we're going to spend 10 seconds in the lava and then we decide to get out. We are then going to be on fire for 25 seconds. So remember that. It's the time you spend in the lava plus 15 seconds. That's how long you'll be on fire for. A long time ago, in a Minecraft version that you probably don't even remember, there was a rumour going around that fishing in the rain would get you more fish. And guess why this is on the list? Because we did the maths, we did the science, we looked into the game code, and it turned out to be true. If it's raining, there's a 40% increase in the chance of you getting yourself some fish. So whenever it rains and you fancy doing a little bit of fishing, that would be the optimal time. But the real tip here is if you've got an automatic fishing farm like this classic Panda design, that is a great time to put it to use when it's raining. As I said, 40% more likely to get yourself some loot. Next up is the Guardian. We have done 4 episodes on this guy and mini myths as well, and from the myth busting series I've got 3 tips for you to do with the Guardian. The first one is to do with the beam that it attacks you with. You can disrupt it simply by getting close to the Guardian. Now when it comes to attacking the Guardian, if its spikes are extended you're going to take damage. Like that, and then if its spikes are retracted, you won't, which is a good thing to remember. Now, a way you can get around this is by attacking the Guardian with TNT. So you can see its spikes are extended, and when this TNT blows up, you see we took no damage at all. And those are the 3 tips for you for dealing with Guardians. So this may be a familiar sight. We've got tons and tons of doors. There are iron golems spawning into these water basins. This is the Iron Titan made by Tango Tech, and in an episode of our myth busting we found out if these things could work with different door types than oak wood. Now this is one of my favourites because this is a little bit more useful than it initially sounds. What we found out of course is that you don't have to use oak wood doors, you can use the other wooden door types to make your iron farms with, and the cool thing here is that you need so many doors in order to make one of these that having the choice of different tree types to farm to make this is a really cool thing. So of course, you know, if you've got some jungle saplings you can make really big trees and get tons of wood really quickly and easy. So for that reason it's on one of my favourite myth busts because it's pretty convenient despite not actually appearing to be so. This next myth-busting discovery is extremely useful for survival Minecraft. You can use a bow in your offhand, you can shoot it, and that's great if you want to kill some mobs from a distance like this guy over here. But if you want to use your looting sword, you can actually do that with the bow in the offhand. So the sword has no right click function anymore, which means if you're holding it and you right click, you're going to use your bow. And this is especially great for hunting down wither skeletons because you probably don't want to get too close to them with your looting sword as they have the wither effect. What you can do is stand back, hold the looting sword in one hand, hit them with the bow in the other one, and you can see that the looting effect works. We got ourselves a wither skull and loads of other items, and that's because we've got looting level 255 just to sort of exaggerate the effect. But as you can see, it totally works. Hold a looting sword in one hand, hit them with a bow in the other, and the looting effect will be applied. And last on our list, number 10, I've saved the best for last. It is all about the bling blings, the diamonds, the best way to mine for those diamonds. And this actually wasn't from an episode of Minecraft Mythbusting, but it feels very fitting for this video as we did a tutorial on the best way to get diamonds, and it pretty much was a Mythbusting episode. We found out that mining diamonds at Y level 10 with a particular mining technique would yield the most diamonds, and if you want to check out that video, I'll put a link to it on your screen right now. And those are my top 10 myth busts. If you've enjoyed this episode, then leave a like and leave a comment down below with your favourite myth busts that you've seen in the series. Have been considering making a part 2 since there are so many cool things that we had discovered in this series. And I just want to say it one more time. I know the last one wasn't from the myth busting series, but it seemed completely appropriate for this video. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.